Howdy, campers. I said howdy. I'm from Texas. I'm allowed. This is John Nelson, the plugin CEO of JKO Works, pluginbusiness.com, and a whole host of other things going on at the moment. So thank you so much for checking this out. I promise it's going to be shorter. YouTube team, you hear me? Yes, I love to talk. And there's honestly, I tried to pour a lot of value and along with the different people we brought in into what's already there. So please check out the JKL Plugin TV YouTube channel, and as well as Facebook groups and other places if you'd like to do that. And hopefully we will add some value to your business that you are not currently getting and that not everybody's talking about. But we're going to do this a little bit on the shorter side, and we're going to talk about something that's kind of heady. But I think it's good. I mean, I'm seeing more and more and more and more of this. So if you're not taking advantage of this in your business, whether it's a marketing business or any type of business, you're kind of missing out, because the knowledge economy is a real thing, and the ability to do that, and particularly in the last several years, that has become an important thing. So I want to talk about knowledge and knowledge as a help to your brand, and knowledge as a help to your entire customer experience. Not even just sales. Yes, you can sell. You can sell this. People do. People should, particularly if they have it to sell. So, excuse me. Let's launch into it, because it's kind of. But like I said, this is sort of on the heady side. But I hope you find it valuable, and if you do, please like and comment where you're watching this, and ask questions and take part, and let's see what you guys come up with as a community of hopeful viewers, or share this with somebody you think is important. So let's get right into it. When we start talking about knowledge as an asset, knowledge as value, knowledge as a service, if you will. We need to gather that knowledge. We need to put that into place. So first thing to do is gather those assets together. Look inside your company. Look through everybody's expertise to the extent that they will contribute it. In service-based businesses, this is a lot easier to do. But you can also it actually shows up better in companies that actually manufacture products or distribute products, because then you're talking about sharing the processes by which things get done, and by which they get things done very efficiently. And so it's important to gather that all up in one place, and get it out of everybody's head, and get it into a central system. We'll talk about more about that in just a second. But it is, first and foremost, to gather any of this, you've got to collect it. You've got to put it together, and have it become a part of what your company believes, what they follow, what they offer, how they present to their customers, how efficient their product and service delivery is, how efficient their back office systems are. Do you have a billing process that just works well, and you don't have any issues? If you have recurring billing, you don't have any issues with, customers really lagging. You've really made an effort to make that where that's not a problem. That has value, when you're putting this together. So it's really important that you gather all these things into one place, and you do it corporately. You do it as a whole, whether your company is, one or two people, or 1 or 200 people. You gather it in such a way that you harvest that information, but you give it value. You don't just say, "Oh, company's taking all your expertise and leaving it." If these people are contributing the value to it, then they need to be recognized as a part of the system. And we'll talk about that more in just a little bit. But it's important that if you're getting them to contribute, that you really, you sort of make that interconnection. I've said before, take care of the company, and the company will take care of you. That's the way it should work. That's not always the way it does work on both sides, frankly, but that's the way it should work. And the more people who really work hard to make it that way, the better it's going to be, and the more you're going to see it, and the more it will become a trend, like some of the things you're about to see in just a second that I've come across. So in building all of that, when you're creating systems, what you want is you want to make a big system. You start with pillars, 3 to 5 pillars, and then they go to milestones inside each one of those pillars, and then at the end you create playbooks. And I'm going to tell you how prevalent this has become, how much I've seen this, particularly recently, not only as a sports analogy, but as as something overall. So you use that to create a repeatable system. For those of you who have read the E-Myth Revisited, this is exactly what we're talking about: creating a repeatable system that for every key aspect of your business, not all at once. That you could have the certain pillars, but each one of those pillars needs processes, needs milestones to make sure that they're doing well, and then needs the actual playbooks to put that in force. So then you create a repeatable system. If you have not read the E-Myth Revisited book, it's still good. I don't care what they tried to do with the politics of the author and whatever else. I don't know what happened there. I don't care. It's still a good book. Go get it. If you have a business of any small or medium size at all, read it through and really take to heart what's going on there. We're big fans. So this is kind of what that model looks like. So to get the overall system, you start with the pillars. You start with the 3 to 5 things that you want to center your business around. I don't mean more sales. I mean, why should people buy from you? What's unique about your product or service that makes it that you want to focus on, that you want them to focus on? What's unique about the way you serve your customers that you want them to focus on? What's unique about the way you work with your employees, the environment you have that you want them to focus on? Those are 3 to 5 things, and that is at its core importance. I mean, LinkedIn has 10 core values that they want for their community, but there are plenty of others that are smaller. They shouldn't be really any more than 5, because they all kind of. I'll bet if you drill down those core values, those 10 core values, you get to something that is really only about 3 to 5 that are all kind of the theme of it all. And so you build that together, and then you put milestones in place for each one of those pillars. You put measures of success. How do you know you are working towards these pillars, making these a reality? Well, you have certain milestones set up that show the progress that you're making. Maybe if it's customer service, you get that to you along the way. You have certain metrics that you want to meet of customer satisfaction, of how many people. And yes, you can get lost in these numbers. You can, but it's also you need them. You need these numbers on some level to chart progress. Otherwise, how do you know that your efforts are working? How do you know that all this buy-in you're trying to get from your employees and from your customers, honestly, and from your prospects when you're stepping out there? Because we're talking about using this as knowledge has value, and using that as a ultimate tool to drive sales. Ultimately, how do you know that has value and that is getting the result you want? You do with milestones. So take the time to set those in place once you get your 3 to 5 pillars in place. Then from there, this takes longer, but is very E-Myth. It's what you should do. You develop playbooks. You develop this is how we do this, step by step by step by step. And if you want to know how prevalent this is, it is all in all sorts of places you wouldn't necessarily expect. I was reading a book this weekend about ADHD, and it was loaded with playbooks. Short, sweet, to the point, stepped out. This is exactly how you do it. This is exactly what you do to overcome certain situations. Now, the lady who wrote it she's a sports person. She's a soccer player, goalie, But other than that, so she writes it from that perspective, but she's also writing it from the point of, this is what ADHD people will resonate with, because this is how they think, because I am one. And so it's just really short, to the point. This is what you do. You do step 1, you do step 2, you do step 3, and here's how that works. When somebody has it, when you're developed, so when you're putting all this stuff together for your company, you the pillars, break it down into sections, so it's not so overwhelming when you're creating this knowledge base, this knowledge system that you have. So it focuses on the different areas that you feel are important. The milestones are the things that, the measures of success that you build in, and the playbooks are what actually get you there. And you'll then, refine these as you go forward. But the more of these you have, the more you centralize that knowledge and you get it out of everybody's head. So if somebody leaves because they're really upset, it doesn't wreck your whole process. But it may also attract people to say, hey, I really do have this expertise, but I didn't want to give it up to, just anybody and just have it be out there. But I really like this company. I really like working for them. I really want to contribute, and because it helps me and it helps them. And they have gone out of their way to make that an important thing for me. And I appreciate that. So here's my expertise I'm going to put into the process. And so then you change that into playbooks. And and maybe as you grow, and it helps as you grow and scale, because then everybody knows what's expected and the wheels don't start coming off. If there's as your business grows, or maybe there's sections of your business that don't get along with each other, or like I said, people leave, or the market changes, and so you need to adapt to, say, a new technology that's come along. Well, you have the playbooks here. You go update what's there. Like I said, guys, a little heady, but if you stop and think about developing this as a system, capturing your knowledge of your company as a system, we talk and use later on in our implementations with clients, policies and procedures. These are the procedures in those policies and procedures. This is how this all starts. It's not as daunting as you think. And the benefits you can get out of it will blow you away. Okay, so let's talk about, kind of capturing this and putting this into action. Okay, so we're gonna use it as a sales tool in a minute, but I want to establish that knowledge has value. This knowledge is a commodity. This knowledge can be made scarce. You can get into a business and not have a clue of what you're doing. You can also get into a business and have a lot of personal experience, but then you have to translate that into something other people can follow. You also can get into this and not have a lot of knowledge, but obtain it by the people that you surround yourself with, the trainings that you buy into and come into, because most of them are, sales products now, let's face it. And offering that is a offering knowledge. Think about anybody that offers themselves as a mentor, as a trainer, as a coach. Hey, that's what we're offering. We're offering, in my case, I'm offering 20 years of business expertise, small business expertise. Some of that is a success. A lot of it is failure. There is so much to be learned from failure. And I'm not just saying that because I failed. Ask anybody who is successful. They learned more from failure than they ever did from success. They learned more from failure than they ever did from success. Successful people are that. It's in all their books. It's in all their teaching. It's in all their trainings. It's in all their courses. It's in all their failure should be there because we all know it exists. The only ones who deny it are the people that are truly selling something that you don't want to buy, that's empty. So failure is there, guys, and it's perfectly capable of happening. It's what you do about it and what you learn. Okay, so let's go with the idea of so those of you who saw before, you get to see this. So knowledge is value for you. It becomes a part of your brand, right? It becomes a part of who and what you are. it becomes a part of, think about over the years, the companies over the years, the Xeroxes, the IBMs, some of the big office machines, the Deloittes of the world, these big, yes, these are all big companies, but these are big companies that got big based on their knowledge, based on what they accumulated, their knowledge, their training. They're putting everything together for you. When you go to work for that company, I mean, there's many stories of people that would go to work for IBM back in the day, and they would get all and absorb all the training they had, and then they would step out and go do their own thing with that knowledge that they accumulated. Yes, it happens. Sorry, but it does. But there's so much that and there is an amount that employers invest in employees. But that knowledge is your brand. That's what you're selling. Think about your average consulting firm, your average coach, your average doctor. You go to a doctor, doctor's selling his knowledge or her knowledge. That's not a bad thing. That's how they live. That's how they pay their staff. And more importantly, for many of them, that is how they make an incredible difference for their patients. Yes, they get paid to do it. Okay, that's the way business works. I don't care who you are, but it should be, and oftentimes is their joy. If they stepped out to open a business of this, whatever that may be, whether that's a health clinic, a holistic health clinic, or providing different home services for people, it's something they reasonably enjoy. They have to, because otherwise some of those experiences can be pretty miserable. It takes, so they have to want to do it. Otherwise, why would they put themselves in that position? So offering their brand is important. Offering your brand as knowledge, it has value, and your value can be associated with your brand. Okay. Then we start talking about there's value in systems. So if you take the time and effort to put together these systems to help things run efficiently for your business, you best believe that's something you can sell. We sell a system that has been tested and proven, that we work through. Yes, I come along with my 20 years of expertise, and we're working with your business. But ultimately, I get to stand on the shoulders of proven strategies and systems, at least 40 of them that work. Okay, they have been proven to work over and over and over and over again if implemented properly. And so that's when we can actually put a number on. So when we do a success blueprint for a business, it's based on that information. It is based on, here is what we have found in the past, and if we do everything like we say we're going to do, here are the results you can expect. That is the value of systems, and systems are powered by knowledge, by group knowledge, and our individual knowledge. Sometimes if somebody has a definite way of cooking, take a chef. Somebody has a definite way of cooking something that has, tried and true and becomes this huge, success because of how it tastes, or because of the processes they follow. Some chefs have gotten famous for doing that, for the way it's not what they cook necessarily, although it's good. It's the way they do it to get the flavors out. That's important. That's the system. That is a process, and that too has value. That is knowledge that has value. And finally, another example of how knowledge has value is extra services. What extra services can you pull in to support the expertises that you have? Okay. An example may be, take a marketing agency who may have a lot of general expertises in a lot of areas and be pretty good, but maybe they want to have a component that builds good websites, builds good funnel sites or websites that really attract people. So what can they do? They can go out and hire somebody, and you get that person or team's expertise, and maybe that works and maybe it doesn't. Or they can go pull alongside a company for a collaboration or a joint venture or something that's put together that says, I'm going to bring in this expertise, and I'm going to pay them for their expertise, and we're going to make this happen. And so then what do I get out of it? Well, I get their knowledge of building these incredible websites to help my brand stand out. I get their knowledge of making these efficient at a decent price that make sure everybody gets paid without, but more importantly, these websites convert. If I can get people to them, I have, it has now been proven to me, through a little bit of, trial and experience with this particular group that I'm doing a joint venture with, that if I pull them in to our company and they do websites for my clients, then we're going to get tremendous value out of them. We have something for marketing agencies where we pull this along. I've been in digital marketing spaces and know enough to know what you all are focusing on and what you're not focusing on. And some of the things that you're not focusing on are things that can help your clients. Some of the strategies that we've talked about here oftentimes are things that you're not leveraging as such to help your clients. Now, you, by your own, thing, are doing websites, you're doing ads, you're doing SEO, you're doing marketing fundamentals that you put all these together into an incredible system that is getting amazing results for your clients. It is bringing them customers. It is filling their pipeline, which is exactly what you want to do. But then, so possibly on the back end, though, once you fill imagine this, has this ever happened to you, where you do your job, you do exactly what you're supposed to do, you get exactly the result you promised, you are bringing in customers for these people left and right, and their business all of a sudden, starts to stress and strain, and it can't handle the load, and they start blowing, chasing away these customers almost as fast as you bring them in. They're going out the door on the other side. Yeah, you're getting paid because you're doing what you're supposed to do, but they're not keeping the customers and getting the full benefit on the back end. And they're gaining a bad reputation. And you're the one representing and enabling that bad reputation by not helping them work on that. Well, consider bringing somebody like us along to help shore up that back end. You do what you do well on the front end. And we know enough, we know about marketing enough to know what you're doing, to partner with you, to make that even more successful. And meanwhile, we're helping on the back end to keep them going, to help them scale, to allow them to handle all of these strategies and all these customers that you're implementing, that you're bringing in for them, so they don't just start imploding on the backside and self-destructing because you're doing your job too well, and their calendars are full and they can't handle it, and they're having billing problems, and they're having customer service issues because they didn't invest in these things. Think about that. That's something that we offer. That's the knowledge that we offer that we can come alongside as a particular brand. So to prove these are just some ways that knowledge can have that value, and the shapes and the forms that it can take. You have systems, you have the third party services, and you have these are just some different things here that can build on each other to help the collective knowledge you have and the collective knowledge that you can connect with to have value. For everybody to benefit from it all along the chain, all along the process. We go back to the one from the before, where you have pillars, and then you have milestones, and then you have the playbooks. So this is how you can bring that in to add some major value. Final point here is, how do we turn this into a sales tool? How do we turn this into something that is that is worth doing? And how do we offer it, kind of as services here? So the first thing is, we talk about strategic versus tactical marketing. We have another video on this. It's actually very important. It was eye-opening for me, and whenever we put it out there, actually had quite a few people pay attention to this, because I just never thought of it this way. Okay, so tactical marketing is probably easier to explain from that side. Tactical marketing is the doing, is the actual implementing of the strategies. It's the building of the website, the creating of ads, the running of the getting of referrals, the running of a reactivation campaign, the setting up of an online store. Those are tactical things. Those are doing things that you actually, to put a successful strategy in motion, requires you taking some action. So these are the tactical actions that you need. The strategic, on the other hand, is a little more heady. It's kind of what we talk about. It is the actual strategies themselves. So it's not it's creating a market dominating position. It's creating the offer that drives all this. What is your actual offer before you put that on a website or Facebook post or ads or anything else? What is your actual offer you're going to have for somebody, and is it compelling enough? Let's analyze your audience, the concept of a brand. All that is this. So this all falls that we're talking about creating knowledge as a service. This is not a tactical thing. This is a strategic thing. But this is strategic groundwork that you can put in place, that once you do that, you start creating, you build the foundation. And so then the tactical are the actual playbooks to make it happen. We talked about the playbooks just a little bit earlier. So other ways that we can turn this into action, and turn this into actually as a sales tool. So it's going with the concept that services add value. They're not an expense. So if you're going to do this, if you're going to offer this, this is where you decide, I'm going to step out what I offer. I'm going to, and it's not just that I can build you a website. It's that I have 20 years of experience of building websites, and I've done this for hundreds of clients in 3 or 4 different niches of types of businesses. I know what works for these people. I know what gets results for these people. And so that is the knowledge you're leveraging, the strategic knowledge you're leveraging, and you're putting into your sales process. It is not the tactical. The tactical is the actual building of the website or the ad campaign or the whatever. But it's based on your knowledge of what works, or your team's knowledge of what works or what does not. Teaching you how to serve customers. Customer service, sadly, is an art form that's very underappreciated. I have learned that from my wife. She is excellent at it. And she's also very critical when it's not done well, because, it's been both ways. When companies have terrible customer service, the wheels fall apart quickly. Doesn't matter how much you sell on the front end. If you're not serving your customers well on the back end, and you don't have set processes for it, and you're not incentivizing, encouraging them to stay, not necessarily incentivizing. I mean, you incentivize them by having good customer service, really and truly, but encouraging them to stay and making it where not only did they get what you originally sold them, but they get a fantastic, fantastic service. They're very responsive. Issues come up, but we're willing to deal with them. We work through them, and it's all good. But that doesn't work unless you have that knowledge in place to make that to make that a reality. So then the final thing we do is we make this a part of your brand. If you're building this and you're putting it all together, and you're going to offer it as a part of, not an over, walk out going, well, I mean, you can, I have, dozens of years of experience doing this, and you're buying me. Okay. Whenever you buy from me, Mr. Customer, you're buying me. Some people do that. Sometimes that works. But more often than not, you're buying the process. You're buying the product, but why should I choose your product over somebody else's? Why should I, choose your particular service over somebody else's? So you're buying that knowledge. If you're to really elevate what you're selling, this is what this comes down to. To really elevate what you're selling, you have to bring the knowledge in such a way that makes your product different than everybody else's, and reaches the exact people that you want it to reach, who have exact problems that only you can solve. And you use knowledge as the vehicle to knowledge of their situation, knowledge of their hot button issues, knowledge of what they will buy, knowledge of their needs, knowledge of who they are. to turn this into something that is more than the sum of its parts. You're making this a part of your brand. So your brand becomes synonymous with, it's not just a name. It's when they think of that, here's what they think of. I mean, what do you think of when you hear the name High Level, or Go High Level? What do you think of when you hear the word WordPress? What do you think of when you hear the name? I don't know. Think of a grocery store. For in the South we have HEB, in Texas, or Kroger for that matter. I mean, good, bad, or indifferent. What do you think of when you hear of, not lately, but in the past, Southwest Airlines? What do you think of when you hear certain brands? And does knowledge play a role in that? Does their expertise at what they do play a role in that? Think about that whenever you look at any brand that you think is successful, or that you want to be like, or that you are. If it's your brand, if you're watching this somehow, that'd be awesome. But is your brand reflecting that, not only the product or service you sell, but the knowledge behind it? That's the important thing, because it should reflect the knowledge that's there, the expertise that's there, why it's as to help determine why yours is different and why somebody should choose it. It is knowledge, it is experience, it is expertise, it is a smooth operation, efficient operation. It's a good customer experience. All of those things are knowledge qualities, and all of those can determine what's out there and why. So these are things that we help you to figure out. So if this sounds like something that we need to find your knowledge, find where that is, where you can contribute, where your company can contribute, how you can stand out, who are the customers you're reaching, and how do we get the knowledge to figure out what their hot button issues are? How do we get an offer together that's so good that they feel silly saying no to it? That is all from knowledge you have about your customers. How can we work on the backside to make sure that the experience matches the sale, so that they stay with you for a long time, and more importantly, keep buying from you over and over and over and over again? And or if it's particularly if it's a kind of a one and done thing just by nature, some things are houses, that sort of thing, at least for a while anyway, or big ticket items. Will they be willing to bring their friends? Would they be willing to refer their colleagues? That because of the process that you showed them, that's hugely important, and all of that is based off of knowledge. So if you want some help with that, if you even want to see where you are, we can take you through a success blueprint. It is absolutely free. It's an hour's worth of your time. And what we come back with is stuff that is absolutely amazing for you. And it's yours to keep, whether or not you do business with us. Now, the hope beyond that is that, we'll find some things one way or the other that you're doing well or not doing well. And I'm not afraid to say, you know what, you're doing this well. You don't need us. I have a service I can offer you where we become a sounding board for you. And if that's your thing, it's very affordable. Let's make it happen. So you have a resource that you can build on to continue doing what you're doing, but you don't need me. You're doing great. You're doing awesome. You're doing everything you're supposed to do. And I want to highlight that. But, obviously if there's areas that come up that could use some work, could use some refinement, then consider doing things for a season. And then we hope we have some things that continue to add that value later on down the road, but continue doing that for a season to make sure it gets right, to make sure somebody else is having a look at it, that this is what they do all day, every day. If you think you want to take that, at least the beginning of the journey is absolutely free. Take 22 minutes and just talk to us and see if there's anything that's a good fit. It will probably be me that you talk to, but may not be. But strategy.jklworks.com, or you can always go to our main website, scroll down and book an appointment. Okay, they're all there. It's the same deal. So that is what starts the journey. That is what starts this going. And if you if and then if you want the success blueprint, which we highly recommend, it's again free for your time, for an hour's worth of your time. And we go through everything and we ask you the questions and you really commit to filling it out. You'll get a lot out of it and it will be yours to keep whether you do business with us or not. And of course, the hope is that you do business with us and that we get to show you value every single week of every single month that you're with us. That we are growing and working on things, not fixing what's not broken, because that's working. Okay, we don't fix what's working. We fix what's not working and get it to a point where, and it's not just slash and burn. It is, what if we did it this way? What if we do things this way? That's what working with a coach is all about. It's not somebody constantly yelling at you to change. It is taking what you have and making it the best it can be and bringing in some outside influences where needed to accomplish the goal, the pillars, the milestones, and then create the playbooks that you want to create. That's what we do. Strategy.jkoworks.com is how we do that. And in the meantime, I hope this is not too heady, but this is just introducing the concept of knowledge as a service, knowledge as a sales tool. Knowledge is something that you can do. And so I hope it's valuable to you. Comment wherever you're watching this and interact with us and we'll reply to you right away. And otherwise, if there's something you'd like to go with on a next step, strategy.jkoworks.com is where you can find that, strategy.jkoworks.com. Thanks so much for watching, and we will talk to you in the next video.